You just bought a casino, not a dream, not a video game, an actual casino. The chips are real, the dealers are on payroll, and somewhere downstairs right now, a man named Gary from Ohio is losing his vacation money on a slot machine. And here's the thing about Gary. Gary is your business model. Not because you want Gary to lose, not because you rigged anything, but because the math underneath every single game on your floor is working for you every second of every day. Quietly, automatically, without you lifting a finger. And by the time Gary cashes out his last $20 and drives back to Ohio, the machine he sat at has already made you money. Guaranteed. Not maybe, not probably. Guaranteed. Today, we're going to walk through your finances as a casino owner. What it costs to get in, where the money actually comes from, what eats the profits faster than any player ever could, and why the casino business is simultaneously one of the most mathematically certain and operationally brutal industries in the world. Stick with me. Because there are some numbers in here that will completely change how you look at a casino floor. Let's establish the size of what you're operating in. U.S. commercial casinos generated $71.9 billion in total gaming revenue in 2024, according to the American Gaming Association. That number does not include tribal gaming, which adds another $40 billion on top. Combined legal gambling in the United States is a $110 billion plus industry. For context, that is larger than the U.S. movie industry, the music industry, and the entire theme park industry combined. It is one of the most cash-generative industries in the American economy, and it operates inside some of the most tightly controlled regulatory environments in the world. Las Vegas alone generated $14.5 billion in gaming revenue in 2023 from strip properties. Nationwide, slot machines alone accounted for 70 to 80% of all gaming revenue in most markets. The numbers are staggering, and they all flow from one foundational concept that you need to understand before anything else: the house edge. The house edge is the single most important number in your entire operation. Everything else, the hotel, the restaurants, the entertainment, the parking, is built around it. Here is how it works. Every game on your floor is mathematically designed to return slightly less to the player than the player puts in over time. Not on every spin, not on every hand, not on every roll, but across millions of plays, the math converges on the theoretical edge like gravity converges on a falling object. You cannot stop it. The player cannot stop it. It is not luck. It is arithmetic. The numbers by game look like this. American roulette, the wheel with both a 0 and a double 0, has a house edge of 5.26%. That means for every $100 bet at your roulette table over time, you keep $5.26. Slot machines run between 5 and 15% house edge, depending on how you configure them. Baccarat runs 1.06% on the banker bet, one of the thinnest edges on the floor, which is why high rollers love it. Blackjack with basic strategy runs around 0.5 to 2% depending on your house rules. Craps at the pass line runs 1.41%. Notice something. The games with the lowest house edge, blackjack, baccarat, craps, are the ones that attract the most sophisticated players. The games with the highest house edge, slots, keno, are the ones that attract casual players who come in once or twice a year and have no strategy to counter the math. This is not an accident. Your game mix is a deliberate portfolio decision. Low-edge games bring in high rollers whose total dollar volume justifies the thin margin. High-edge games bring in the masses whose sheer volume makes up for the lower average bet. Now, here's the part that makes the house edge extraordinary as a business model. You don't need volume on any single bet to make money. You need volume across the entire floor. A slot machine that processes $10,000 in total bets in a single day at a 5% house edge generates $500 in revenue for that machine. You have 500 machines. That's $250,000 a day from slots alone before a single table game turns a hand. And unlike a restaurant where you need cooks and servers and ingredients for every dollar of revenue, a slot machine generates that revenue with one technician watching over 100 machines at once. The operating leverage is extraordinary. Here is where the casino business separates itself from almost every other business on this list. The barrier to entry is not just high, it is designed to be high, intentionally. Let's talk about a mid-sized regional casino, not the Bellagio, not the MGM Grand, a solid regional property, maybe 500 slot machines, 30 table games, a restaurant, a hotel component, and parking for a few thousand cars. The land comes first. A viable casino location requires not just real estate, but zoning approval in a jurisdiction where gaming is legal. That alone limits your options dramatically. Most states have limited gaming licenses, sometimes fewer than 20 in the entire state. In New York, a gaming license costs between $20 million and $50 million in initial licensing fees alone before you build a single thing. In Nevada, a non-restricted gaming license application starts at $7,500 in filing fees. But the Gaming Control Board bills you for their full investigation, costs on top of that, and those investigations are exhaustive. They look at your finances, your partners, your business history, your personal background, and anyone with significant influence over your operation. Budget $500,000 to $1 million just to get through the licensing process in a competitive jurisdiction. Then the build. A mid-sized regional casino property runs $200 million to $500 million in construction. Land acquisition alone can represent 15 to 20% of total capital expenditure. Construction and infrastructure. The building itself, the electrical systems capable of running thousands of gaming devices simultaneously, the HVAC required to move air through a windowless room where people sit for hours, runs another 40 to 50%. Gaming equipment, the slot machines, the table game layouts, the surveillance systems, the cage and counting infrastructure, adds another $50 million to $100 million depending on scale. Before you take a single bet, you have spent somewhere between $200 million and $500 million, and you are paying interest on that money from day one. This is why the casino industry is dominated by a small number of very large operators. MGM Resorts, Caesars Entertainment, Penn Entertainment, Hard Rock. These companies didn't become dominant because they had better blackjack dealers. They became dominant because they had the capital to meet the entry requirements and the scale to absorb the fixed costs while building customer volume. A single regional casino operated in isolation is a much more precarious business than it looks from the outside. Here's the first surprise about being a casino owner in 2026. On the Las Vegas Strip, 65% of total revenue now comes from non-gaming activity, not slots, not tables, hotels, restaurants, entertainment, nightclubs, retail, and parking. That number has flipped over the past 30 years. In the 1990s, gaming was the dominant revenue source. Today, at the largest integrated resorts, gaming is the anchor that fills the building. But the building makes its money on everything around it. Your revenue breaks down roughly like this. Gaming, slots, table games, poker generates your core volume. Slot machines alone account for 70 to 80% of gaming revenue in most regional markets. Tables account for the remaining 20 to 30%, but table players tend to spend more per visit on the non-gaming side, so they punch above their weight in total property spend. Hotel revenue, if you have one, adds 15 to 25% of gross revenue. The hotel is not just a revenue center. It is a retention tool. A guest who stays on property gambles more, eats on property, drinks on property, and sees more entertainment on property than a guest who drives in and drives home. The hotel room is the hook that keeps them in your building for 24 or 48 or 72 hours instead of 4. Food and beverage contributes 15 to 20% of revenue with 25 to 30% profit margins. At top properties, a Michelin-starred restaurant or a celebrity chef residency is not primarily about food. It is about press coverage, differentiation, and attracting a customer who would not otherwise visit your property. When Beyoncé does a residency at an MGM property, she generates an estimated $1 to $2 million per night for the resort in total spend across gaming, hotel, food, and beverage. The entertainment is not the product. The entertainment is the marketing. Entertainment and nightlife are the fourth major revenue stream. Major Las Vegas properties report entertainment revenue averaging $150 to $300 per visitor, with VIP services generating 40 to 50% profit margins. A nightclub inside a casino generates revenue at a margin that would make most nightclub operators weep, because your customers have already decided to spend money before they walked in the door. There is a customer segmentation reality about casinos that most people don't understand, and it has a dramatic effect on how you run your finances. Your customer base has two ends. On one end, the casual, recreational player visits once to 4 times a year, comes in with a budget, plays slots for a few hours, has dinner, maybe sees a show, generates $200 to $500 in theoretical gaming loss per visit. You give them $50 to $150 in comps, free meals, free play, discounted rooms to get them to come back. Marketing cost for this segment runs $40 to $80 per player per year. This segment sustains base operations. They fill the floor during off-peak hours. On the other end, the high roller, the whale. A single whale visiting your property for a weekend can wager millions of dollars over 48 hours. At a 1% house edge on Baccarat, which is what most serious high rollers play, a player wagering $5 million in total action generates $50,000 in theoretical win for the house. A single weekend from one person. This is why casinos send private jets to pick up high rollers. Why they comp suites, airfare, meals, entertainment, and everything else. If your cost to acquire and retain a whale is $10,000 per visit and they generate $50,000 in expected win, that is a 5 times return on your hospitality investment. The math is straightforward, but here's the risk the whale creates. In the short run, even a 1% house edge doesn't protect you from a run of bad luck at a single Baccarat table. A whale on a winning streak over one weekend can cost your casino millions before the math rebalances. The law of large numbers works in your favor over time. But over a single weekend at a single table with a single player betting $500,000 a hand, the variance can swing dramatically in either direction. This is why casino executives lose sleep over whale visits in ways they never do over their slot floor. The slot floor is perfectly predictable. The whale table is not. Labor is your largest operating expense and the one with the least flexibility. A casino floor runs 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Dealers, pit bosses, cage cashiers, slot technicians, surveillance operators, security. The staffing requirement for a mid-sized casino is enormous. A typical regional casino with 500 slot machines and 30 table games employs somewhere between 1,000 and 2,000 people. At an average fully loaded labor cost of $45,000 to $55,000 per employee per year, including benefits, you are looking at $45 million to $110 million in annual payroll. That number runs whether your casino is full on a Saturday night or empty on a Tuesday at 3 a.m. The dealers still get paid. Security still patrols. The slot floor still needs to be staffed. Gaming taxes are the second major cost and the most variable depending on your jurisdiction. Nevada taxes gaming revenue at 6.75%. Pennsylvania taxes it at 55% on slots. Illinois at over 40%. The gaming tax rate in your state is not just a line item. It fundamentally determines whether your business model can work at all. A casino generating $150 million in annual gross gaming revenue in Pennsylvania faces a tax bill north of $80 million before it pays a single employee. The same casino in Nevada pays approximately $10 million. This is why operators fight gaming tax increases with the kind of intensity usually reserved for existential threats, because that's exactly what they are. Marketing and player reinvestment is the third major cost. Running a loyalty program that actually retains players costs real money. Free play credits, complimentary meals, comped hotel rooms, entertainment tickets. The industry standard is to reinvest 20 to 30% of gaming revenue back into players in some form. This is not generosity. This is the cost of keeping your customer from driving to the casino 45 minutes away instead of yours. Capital maintenance is the fourth cost and the one that catches new casino owners off guard. Your slot machines, each one costing $15,000 to $25,000 new, have a useful life of about 5 to 7 years before players start perceiving them as outdated. In a floor of 500 machines, you need to be replacing 70 to 100 machines per year just to keep the floor feeling current. At $20,000 per machine, that's $1.4 to $2 million per year just in slot replacement before you've done any renovations to the building itself. Let's build the model for a mid-sized regional casino doing $150 million in annual gross gaming revenue. Gaming taxes at 20% average, call it $30 million gone immediately off the top. Labor at $60 million. Marketing and player reinvestment at $35 million. Facility operations, utilities, insurance, and maintenance at $20 million. Capital expenditure and machine replacement at $10 million. Total operating costs, approximately $155 million. Wait, that's more than revenue. This is the regional casino trap. At $150 million in gaming revenue with a 20% tax rate and full operating costs, the gaming floor breaks even or loses money. This is why the non-gaming revenue is not optional. It is the profit center. The hotel at $30 million in revenue with 60% operating margins adds $18 million. Food and beverage at $25 million with 25% margins adds another $6 million. Entertainment, parking, retail add another $5 to $8 million. Total non-gaming contribution, $29 to $32 million. That's your actual profit. $29 to $32 million on a property that cost $300 million to build. That's roughly a 10% cash-on-cash return before debt service. After debt service on $300 million borrowed at current rates, you're looking at $20 million or so in annual debt payments. Net free cash flow, somewhere around $10 to $12 million a year on a $300 million investment. That is a 3 to 4% annual cash yield on your capital. The large integrated resorts tell a different story. Properties doing $500 million to $1 billion in total revenue, gaming and non-gaming combined, generate operating margins of 20 to 25% at scale. MGM Grand generated $12.7 billion in non-gaming revenue in 2023. At those volumes, the operating leverage is extraordinary and the returns compound over decades. Most casino failures don't come from bad luck on the floor. The math protects the floor. They come from 3 other places. The first is over-leverage. Building a $500 million casino on $450 million of debt means your debt service is roughly $30 million a year. If your net operating income is $25 million, you are technically insolvent from day one. Many casino projects that failed in the 2008 financial crisis failed not because of bad operations, but because they were financed at the absolute peak of the credit cycle and couldn't service their debt when revenues dipped by 15 to 20% during the recession. The second is over-reliance on whales. A regional casino that builds its profitability projections around 2 or 3 high-rolling customers is exposed to extraordinary concentration risk. If those whales stop coming because a competitor opens nearby, because they had a dispute with your management, because they simply moved on, your financial model collapses. The stable regional casinos are the ones that built their model around the local customer base, not the high roller program. The third is regulatory risk. A gaming license granted can be a gaming license revoked. A change in state government, a shift in public attitudes toward gaming, a scandal involving ownership or management. Any of these can trigger regulatory review and, in extreme cases, license suspension. Unlike most businesses, a casino without a license is not a slower business. It is no business at all. So, what does it actually look like to own a casino? You own a business where the product mathematics work in your favor every second of every day. The house edge means that Gary from Ohio is not your enemy. He is your revenue, not because you are taking advantage of him. Because he came voluntarily, he knows the odds broadly favor the house, and he is paying for the entertainment of sitting in a room where anything can happen on any given spin. But the operational reality underneath that mathematical certainty is ferociously difficult. The entry costs are enormous. The regulatory burden is relentless. The labor costs are fixed and immovable. The gaming taxes in most states consume a third or more of your revenue before you pay anyone. And the competition for customer attention from online gaming platforms that carry no real estate cost and lower overhead is increasing every year. The casino owners who build something genuinely durable are not the ones who found a better game. They're the ones who understood that the casino floor is the anchor, not the product. The product is the experience. The hotel, the food, the entertainment, the feeling of walking into a building where everything is designed to make you want to stay. Next time you walk past Gary on his slot machine, you'll understand something he doesn't. Gary isn't losing. Gary is buying entertainment from a very expensive, very mathematically sophisticated machine. And you, as the owner, are just the person who built the building around that machine.